I thought that if I said anything about it, people would be like, "You think you could do
Oh,
that?
okay.
You think that you're
Yeah.
someone who could actually make it on TV or in the
Yeah.
movies or on Broadway?" I have a lot of hope, but I am still a realist. I still have eyes. And to be fair, like I couldn't point to someone and be like, "Yeah, I'll take their path. Their
Oh,
path
interesting.
looks like
Yeah.
my path," because there weren't any out gay actors.
Welcome to Pop Syllabus. I'm your host, Christiana in Back by Medina. Jeff Hiller was 49 when he won his first Emmy, and despite what many people think, he didn't just come out of nowhere. He was a working comedian and actor for years before landing his breakout role on HBO's Somebody Somewhere. On today's episode, Jeff and I talk about the myth of becoming an overnight success and all the reasons why none of us seem to feel like we're adulting right.
Jeff, welcome to Pop Syllabus. Firstly, congratulations on everything.
Thank you.
The book,
It's crazy.
the Emmy, the most touching Emmy speech I've heard in years. How are you feeling about it all?
Good.
Yeah.
It's definitely not bad. The Emmy thing is really just like, I can't believe that happened. But even
Yeah.
with the book, I'm like, I wrote a book? Like I time and wrote a book? That's crazy.
When you were writing the book, were you like, I'm writing a book? Because I know you're like a student of the genre that is a celebrity memoir. So
Yeah.
were you like, wow, I'm at the point of my own celebrity where I can write a memoir?
No, definitely not. I mean, they let me, but I was like, don't put anything in here that you think people like. You got to test this on lots of people and make sure there's some funny jokes in there
No.
because nobody's just like, I'm just delighted with you, and I'll hear all about how you like ravioli or whatever.
No, it was great. Also, I don't know, like shameless plug on your behalf. I think the listening experience of your book is incredible. It's
Thank
like,
you.
it's a whole journey and all the jokes land. So great job. But I feel like I kind of jumped ahead by congratulating you when so much of your life and career has been like defined by kind of like this sequence of losses that have brought you up into this big win. So I'd like to go back a bit to the beginning, and it's like you're this kid in Texas going to high school and you're different, you're queer. It says you were like 6 feet by sixth grade. That was something that I immediately was like, oh my God, that's tall.
It's too tall.
I'm really curious about how your past challenges are shaping how you're experiencing this moment of like really beautiful triumph.
I'm really working hard to just feel the love,
Yeah.
of which there has been so much,
Yeah.
an outpouring of love from other people who are actors, people from my past, people who I went to school with, people who are in my family. There's been so much love for me, and I think a lot of my life was I didn't necessarily feel that love. I felt very ostracized,
Yeah.
and I am just really trying to take that in and feel it, and not be cynical about it and be
Yeah.
like, oh, well, now you like me because
Yeah,
I got a gold statue.
Are you able to like receive that love earnestly because you are beloved? Like you're always on my TikTok feed making me cry and people cry like, I don't know, it's very beautiful to see someone so open-hearted in this very kind of almost jaded and cynical industry, and you're very present in the moment. So are you able to receive that love and it feel like, okay, they really do love me, or you're like,
Well, I am. I
Okay.
am actually. I saw Michael Urie last night at a play, and we were talking about how like people keep asking us about how he was clapping very genuinely happy for me because we were friends before
Okay.
we were both nominated in the same category, and I said, I think people are just so shocked that it did seem so genuine from you, and he goes, it was genuine. And of course it was like
Yeah.
he is not a Hollywood type either.
Yeah.
But yes, I am. I found his reaction, and Bowen Yang,
Yeah.
who I also know and love, and Coleman Domingo, who I just met that night, who was just so nice to me.
Yeah.
I'm not so focused that I don't realize like the overall like reason that people are so happy is that I was the clear underdog in that situation, and I own that and I get that,
Yeah.
but I also feel like I understand why it's sort of a win for everyone,
Yeah.
right? Because right now it feels like the only people who are allowed any sort of happiness have to be billionaires
Yeah.
who are also like trying to ruin the
Yeah,
world.
absolutely.
And it's nice to see like a guy with a weird looking face get to stand up and say thank
In
you.
a
And
fabulous pink suit, mind you. Can we
that was good,
can we
right?
talk about that? Can we talk about you
That was
look
good,
you were
right?
dressed like you expected to win. Let me just say that. So I don't know about
Oh.
this, like I'm the underdog. That was not an underdog suit, Jeff.
I was like, I want something fabulous,
Yeah.
but not because I was like, this'll win me, 'cause, like
Yeah.
by the time you show up, it's already voted. But I wanted to, this is okay. This is like behind the curtain,
Yeah.
and like, okay, this is the real Jeff. I was like, I'm probably not going to win, so I want to wear something great that people will at least recognize me on the red
I
carpet.
love it. You're like, I may not win the Emmy, but I will win like on Just Jared. Everyone will be like, Jeff, he looked flames. Like, like I'll win fashion TikTok and fashion Instagram, which is the way, that's the
Exactly.
thinking of a winner, by the way. Who cares about the statue? You want people that like fashion to think you're hot.
And I do. I really want people who like fashion to think I'm hot.
So I want to get into the part of the book that spoke to me as a pastor's kid. You went to church every single day of the week. You say growing up in church was your safe space. You say you felt the call to be a pastor's kid at 8, which I find hilarious because what a job. And you write, God was my friend. God was inside of me, guiding me. You went to evangelical Lutheran college, and that's where you were like, oh, I think I need to pivot. You put it really beautifully when you say, I was giving up on hate, not God. As a fellow church kid and pastor's kid, I know a lot of people who grew up in religious spaces who are maybe deconstructing, wrestling, coming to different conclusions about God and faith. How did you do that so young? And it seems like it was rather seamless, at least to an outsider.
I mean, I don't know how it looks, but nothing in my life has ever been seamless. It's been except for like my food delivery service. It was a really difficult thing to move through, and I mourned it a lot
Yeah.
because the church was like like you said, it was a safe space for me, and so it felt like I was losing that community, and it was really difficult to find a new community, and because I don't know, I felt like when I came out, I would just be like immediately embraced by anyone who was anywhere along the queer spectrum.
Yeah.
And that's not how it works. I
Yeah.
mean, I think we should all support each other, but like, you're friends with who you're friends with.
Yeah.
It's not just like
I want to quote one of my favorite tweets is like, I don't support all women. Some of you bitches are really dumb. And I think it's so profound. And it'll be, I don't support all gays. Some of you gays are really dumb. It's just the idea that like shared identity does not make people natural allies.
Right, exactly. I mean, I think it should, but
We're more than like whatever our identity is, right?
we're not a monolith.
Yeah, we're not a
Exactly.
monolith. Yeah, exactly.
What I think was really helpful with that was I am someone who is sort of naturally glass half full type of a person. I am sort of naturally an optimist. I love hope. I
Yeah.
believe in hope, and that's why like the 2020s are like hard. So it's like, oh, where do I look for the hope?
I know. Well, you are the hope right now for a lot of people. You are.
God.
You are.
Oh God, we need
not to
more.
not to put you under any pressure. You are.
Yeah. And I get that, and
Yeah.
and I also just I don't want to be the person who's just like giving up on entire swaths
Yeah.
of the world, or
I'm with you.
I want to hear people and hear individuals and provide communication and benefit of the doubt, and not to just lead with hate.
Yeah.
To try and lead with acceptance.
Yeah, and some understanding.
Right.
Yeah, which is hard to do when
Totally.
it doesn't feel like everyone is doing the same thing you're attempting to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. That was very diplomatically put.
Rare for me. Not a very diplomatic person. You may have got that vibe, but I'm not naturally diplomatic.
Well, you were today.
So you leave your like small Lutheran college and you go to New York to pursue this dream of being an actor. And it feels like, and I say this like as just as an outsider, America seems to be a country where it's like you are allowed to dream, like the idea of this American Dream and Possibility. But like, and you mentioned in your book, people actually feel embarrassed to say they are pursuing a dream. And for a while, you kind of hid that you wanted to be an actor. And I'm curious about like, what's at the root of that? Not just for you or like other people, because it's something I keep coming across.
You're absolutely right that like, yeah, our culture sort of wants you to whatever, like achieve and look higher, but also don't brag about it. You braggy bitch. I was really embarrassed. I thought that if I said anything about it, people would be like, you think you could do that?
Oh, okay.
You think that you're someone who could actually make it on TV or in the movies or on Broadway? I have a lot of hope, but I am still a realist. I still have eyes. And to be fair, like I couldn't point to someone and be like, yeah, I'll take their path. Their path looks like my path. Because there weren't any out gay actors when I really declared it. I mean,
true. Yeah.
Or if they were out, it was because they were outed.
Yeah, it's true. The time, the time is actually a really critical thing because, I don't know, I'm so millennial, but I remember friends and people coming out. But yeah, there was a time when like people weren't out, they were outed. Or it was like they were alleged, Right. And this is a very British reference, but I remember when that stuff happened with George Michael in the bathroom, and it was such a scandal, and he was treated with such cruelty. And if George Michael was like coming up today, he would just be out, because we live in this like Sam Smith universe. But like from an acting perspective, it's like, no, there was no Coleman Domingo. There was not this idea that like there was a space for a queer actor.
Exactly. And it was I feel like it was around like 2005 to 2010 when actors were like, it's my turn to say I'm gay. And by then I was already being rejected by right and left by casting directors. Not because I was gay, by the way. And so I didn't tell anybody, but I will say that in my heart, I didn't think like, oh, I'll win an Emmy one day. I thought more like, one day I will not have to have a day job and I will just be an actor. And I really felt that always.
Your intuition. You just had this
sense. Or delusion, one of the two. But sometimes
they're interchangeable, by the way.
Synonyms.
I believe they are. Yeah, they're synonyms. And it's interesting you mentioned that feeling that you're like, okay, one day I'm going to be a full-time actor. Because you speak about how you took like 2 vacations in 12 years because you were like, an audition may come up, right? And
I couldn't afford it.
You also couldn't afford it. But yeah, you couldn't afford it. There's also that part. And for a lot of people, like when you're pursuing a dream, it does create delays in other parts of your life. Like you're not living the life you could in anticipation of the thing that you really want and that you're aspiring to. I'm curious, do you regret only going on like 2 vacations in those 12 years? And what do you say to people now? Like now you're on the other side of it. Like what do you say to people who are like hustling for their dream, but aren't living fully as a result? Because that's a very real tension. I
was not very healthy about it. Like even if I couldn't afford or was afraid I would have an audition come up, I could have gotten on a train on a Saturday and paid $12 to go to Hudson and taken a hike. You know what I mean? Like I could have done these things that I didn't do because I was tired too.
Yeah. No, it's real. You're tired.
I was in the comedy world and I needed to be out every night. And I also had a 9-to-5 day job and stuff. I think it's kind of just about priorities. And I don't even think that's about people living their, like, I think that there are people who maybe kind of wanted to be an actor, but they prioritized, buying a home or getting married and having kids or building up their 401k or whatever. And I don't think that I don't think they're bad for not living that tiny dream that they had to be an actor.
Yeah.
I think it's about, I'm almost 50. And so I'm really taking
I would never know. You
life...
look like 15, so.
Thank you so much. But I think that once you get to this age, you kind of realize that life is really about compromises and about prioritizing certain things in your life. And I think that you can have it all, but you can't have it all in the deepest well
Yeah.
that you might if you whatever. I mean, you were talking before we started recording, you were talking about your kids, and I was just thinking like how amazing. Like you get to come to work and also go home and have kids.
Yeah.
And if I were to say like the vacations, I'm having some good vacations now.
Yeah. You better
I mean,
be.
I'm Delta Diamond. Anyway, but I do think a lot about not having kids. And even like dumber things like I don't have a washing machine.
Well, that's because you live in New York. New
I
York
know, but
City.
it's embarrassing to be in the laundromat and people be like, "Didn't you just win an Emmy?" And you're like, "These are my underwear."
That's such an interesting observation. I will say, like, being a mum, I am fried. So I'm not, I love my kids, but I'm always like to my friends, like, if you're child free now, just know it's a huge life shift. And especially the choice to be a working mum. That's why actually I love the parts you spoke about your mother. I'm jumping ahead now, but I loved when you talked about like your mum kind of being like crunchy ahead of her time, like no epidural and just like in tune and be like, I'm going to take you to therapy. I'm going to give you a makeover. Because I do think that you are like so much what actually resonating with me most in the book. I felt that you're such a manifestation of your mother's advocacy and her hopes for you. And that's like what every parent dreams of. Like you're pouring all of this stuff into this kid. You're like, I don't know if it's going to work. And she saw you before maybe you even saw yourself, right? And put you on this track. What I was going to say is that I don't find it easy. I'm like fried all the time, right?
Yes. And I feel like I have regrets about it, but like there are times when I'm like, how can I possibly walk my dog again? And that's a dog.
Well, you would be a great dad if you. This is what I say to my friends, because sometimes people are like putting it off because they're like, I feel so old. And I'm like, you're going to get old anyways. Like, you're going to be in your 50s running after a toddler, then do it. The thing is, there is that kind of in-between space of what you're describing of, you're like, okay, you can pick that conventional life where you tick all the boxes, like get married and have the kids and have the job and the 401k, or you can like pursue the dream. But the interesting thing is, I even think for people who aren't trying to be in creative fields, living in late stage capitalism means that most people aren't even attaining the typical like marks of adulthood. They're saying that like in the 80s, a typical home buyer was 29. Now the typical home buyer is 38. Right? There was a time when people had their first baby at 22. Now it's about 27, 28. People are getting married late. People are not getting married at all. Like, so all of these milestones that are fixtures of adulthood, a lot of people aren't getting them, right? And because of that, I'd say like your average millennial or some Gen Xers and definitely the elder part of Gen Z are just, there's this feeling of worthiness that they don't seem to have because they're like, well, I don't have any of the things, right? I left college and I didn't get a job. And I'm still waiting tables. There's nothing wrong with waiting tables, but that's not the life they saw for themselves. Right. It seems that like you came to a point before you even experienced all of this success where you learned to like abandon the thinking of like my worthiness is connected to my accomplishments and these fixtures of adulthood, even though I know you still grapple with not having a washing machine in your house. How did you get away from that kind of binary thinking of like, oh, if I don't, I need to have all these things to be worthy?
Well, I do still struggle with it, I think. And I also feel like, I mean, I'm an Enneagram 3. I don't know if you know the Enneagram, but
I know a bit about it, but I don't understand it. And then when I do the quiz, they make me pay for the result, and I don't want to pay. So
and they make you pay after you've answered 100 questions.
Yes, and then I'm like, no, I'm not giving you $7.99 for this, like, to tell me that I'm a bit messed up. Duh. You know what I mean?
No, so, it's just a personality test. It's the same as Myers-Briggs.
Okay.
But but I agree. Don't pay the $7.
So it's pseudoscience.
Whatever.
Which, I mean,
do if you want.
I like pseudoscience. That's kind of my lane.
I mean, it's not like, astrology. It's more like a personality. Anyway, but I agree. Anyway, the point is my type is all about achievement.
Okay.
So I think it has been really hard for me. Okay. But I also think that because I had to come out, I mean, I know that if I weren't gay, I don't think I would have followed this dream. But I had already sort of like, because my personality wants to just please people and be praised and be liked. And because I knew there was no way I would have had a breakdown if I hadn't come out when I finally did. And when I broke that glass, it was sort of like, well, the world didn't end.
Yeah.
So I might as well try and follow my dream
Okay.
of what I really want to do. But I'm still sometimes a little bit embarrassed that I can't afford to buy a house
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
Yet.
Which is crazy. Well, which actually just speaks to like how insane our world is right now. Because like these boomers, they bought houses when they were like 50p. And they bought 10 of them and still messed it up because we had a subprime mortgage crisis because they were so greedy. But that's a story for another day. But it's just like, you should be able to buy a house. Like
I know. You would think like after you've been on a TV show, right?
I would take my Emmy to the mortgage office and be like, this is my collateral. Like, give me the loan. I don't need a deposit. I'll be fine. But it's just this idea that you can be like visible and successful and have the things. And it's just like, there are these things that are still not within grasp because they're so expensive. Everything is inaccessible.
Yeah. I mean, truly, now houses are so wildly expensive.
Especially in New York.
I look on Zillow every night.
Oh my God, that's my thing too. My favorites are so delusional. You want to talk about delusion? You need to see my Zillow favorites. My husband is like,
me too. They're all like well over $3 million.
Oh yeah,
like,
$3 million.
Can't afford it.
No, I'm like, oh, this is a cheap house. Look how cheap this house is. It's just only $5 million. I'm like, I'm even a snob about it. $3 million. I don't have anything that cheap. Favorited. That's how delusional I am.
Well, what do you want to do? Look at a starter home and say that?
I don't. That's what it is. No, it's always like 10 million. It's as unreachable as possible. But then I go
because we want a library and we want an office that's separate from the library.
But then also
and a drawing room.
I look through the Zillow history and it's like in 1980, this house was $280,000. So that's
I know.
I don't know if you play that game, but sometimes you
I do. And every once in a while you'll see one when it's like it was literally $20,000 or something, and you're like, in 1970 or 80, and you're like, oh my God,
I know.
That's crazy. That's not even a down payment now.
A lot of the press about your Emmy nomination and win has mentioned that you didn't get your breakout role until you were in your 40s. And I think it's one thing to like own the narrative about your aging, which I feel like you do in your memoir. But it's another thing to see other people talking about it, which sometimes can feel a bit icky. But I don't know if it makes you feel icky. Like when people tell me, oh my God, I didn't know you were 38. I'm like, you're not supposed to know. Like, don't make it a thing. Don't make it a thing. Like, how do you navigate that? Because I do think there is still an underlying cultural taboo about the idea of aging. It's so baked in, right? So I'm curious about.
Oh, you're 100% right. Yeah, and still every once in a while, even it's like when I just said I'm almost 50, I had to be like, wait, it's 50, right? Yeah. It almost feels like, wait, that number seems way too high.
Yeah, that's not for me. Like,
I'm still youthful. But I don't begrudge any of the press about it. I would have loved to have heard that someone was still an undiscovered actor at 45.
Yeah.
Because you don't ever hear about that.
Yeah.
Probably because people don't want to tell you that they're 45 when they're getting their part.
Yeah, there's also that.
Yeah. But then this morning I did an interview with June Squibb. We were both in a movie and we just were promoting this movie. And I was just like,
wow,
you dumb. There is so much more life to be led.
Yes.
And she's not like, fetishizing the fact that she got Nebraska when she was in her 80s, and that was the first time she got like a lot of attention. So I don't know. I'm trying to not be stressed about it, but there are still moments where I'm like, 50.
I know, because I like how you say, you're like, I do not fear aging, you say. I'm embarrassed by it, which I think is it's so beautiful and a pure way of saying it, because it's just like, no, because aging is what everybody ages. I mean, I don't think it is something to be afraid of, but it does feel, the way we talk about it and the way we make people feel about it, it feels like, I've done am I wrong for not dying?
Right, yeah. And we want to be able to say like, yeah, I've lived all these years, but look at all these amazing things I've done.
Yeah.
And, if I died tomorrow, the obituary would really just focus on the last 2 or 3 years.
A fabulous 2 or 3 years, by the way.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's about that achievement thing that you were asking too.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to show something for this long life.
And this is something I struggle with a lot, and I think a lot, even in relation to my motherhood, because a lot of women, once you become a mother, you lean into that and it becomes a big part of your identity and purpose, which I deeply resent, because I was a whole person. Before I 3D printed 3 humans, I was a whole person, right?
3D.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
It's what it is. Oh my God.
And so it's like, and in my own life, I'm trying to like decouple who I am from the things I do, whether it's like motherhood or friend, sister, podcast host, not that the world needed another one of those, writer, all of those things. And it's just like, okay, like if I stand flat-footed, who am I and how can I take pride? And I think there's just something to just waking up every day and being, right? I think that should be something that that is the accomplishment, rather than the accolades or the identity. I don't know. I'm still passing through it.
No, but you're right. It's like you'll never be happy from accomplishment if you're not happy without accomplishment.
Yeah.
Right. The external can never make you happy. It has to come internally.
Yeah.
That's been a really hard lesson.
Yeah. It's
I'm not sure I'm quite there yet.
No. Maybe it's an ongoing. It's a thing that you have to keep relearning. Not in like an Sisyphean way, but it's just because the nature of life is that you think like, oh, when you get the thing, if I win the Emmy or if I get the right, my job as a writer, I'm like, oh, if I get this room, then I'm going to be so confident. And then you do get the room, but you still feel diffident. And you're like, wait, what's that about? I thought when I got this room, I'd feel like I'm here, you know?
I know, but isn't it also interesting that like that drive is what has gotten you into many rooms.
Yeah.
And has gotten you into, being a podcast host, and being a parent and being a sister and being a friend. And I mean, maybe not the drive to being a friend, but or whatever, a mom, but like, it's important too. It's just that we have to really work on feeling grateful for what we have when we have it, and not, the mindset is, I'll be happy when X happens, and it has to be, I'm happy that Y has happened.
Yeah. And I think.
By the way, I'm telling myself this more than you.
You're so churchy. As I talk to you, I'm talking to myself. Isn't that what the preacher always says? I'm talking to you, I'm talking to myself. It's very churchy.
I was more just like, what are you talking like you're teaching?
No, I love it. I love it. You know, it's funny because you win the Emmy and you think, or whatever it is, you get married, you get the house, you get the job, you think your life is going to change immediately and everything's going to be flooding in. You have had your big break, winning this Emmy in a fabulous pink suit and making everyone cry. Do you believe even the idea of a big break is still a thing in this world where everything is so like niche and siloed, and sure, there are more calls, but it's like there's still work to be done. It's like the idea of someone's life changing overnight. Is that still happening? Because I speak to people and they're like, well, I got to the mountaintop and I realized it was like a plateau and I had to start climbing.
We're looking for the peak instead of the journey, whatever. I know that's like cliche, but it's a cliche because it's a truth. And I think that Judy Chicago, do you know Judy Chicago, the artist?
No.
She's a really cool visual artist. Somebody asked her, like, who are the young artists that you love? Like the artists in their 20s that are coming up that you like? And she was like, I value careers, not accomplishments. And the idea is that like a career is this long lifetime of art that you've made and that you've put out there, and not like, I got into the biennial, so I'm done.
Got it.
I kind of believe in that too. Like, even though you never have heard of me before this, I was doing things that I thought were good.
Yeah.
Maybe only 40 or 50 people saw them at a time, but I was proud of them.
Yeah.
But I will say, it's nice when people pay you.
Well, do you know what? It's funny because even like, I'm coming to it from a writer's perspective. Like, even when you're writing on spec, developing something, just noodling around, like just trying to build a world, you're still a writer. You're a writer before you get your like WGA card, or you're an actor before you get your SAG card. Like,
exactly.
That's some institutional validation. That's proof that you can get paid for doing something. You get health insurance. We love health insurance. But you
sometimes,
sometimes. But you were the thing before you got like formal recognition into the club.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if the audience is nobody or it's like thousands of people. There is still meaning in, I guess, the process and the journey, which is what kind of like you're describing. And I think Judy Chicago was hinting towards.
Yeah,
right?
and that journey can actually give you a lot of joy.
Yeah.
And a lot of fulfillment.
So if your career is a journey, post Emmy, where do you want the journey to take you? I'm really curious about that.
So far, the Emmy hasn't really gotten me a job, but it has gotten me a lot of meetings. And when people ask me that, I need to think of a better answer. I try to sort of tailor it to what I think that they might be able to help me with.
Yeah.
But what I think the truth is that I just want to keep acting and I want to keep playing interesting roles. Like, I know that sometimes you have to play the waiter because you need a waiter.
Yeah.
And we can't follow the waiter home. You're a writer. I mean, how exhausting would that be?
I mean, people don't
home?
really tune into the show for the waiter's interior life unless the waiter is like an assassin and he's like undercover. But no, unfortunately.
That's where I want. I want to play an undercover assassin waiter.
I would love that for you. I would love it. And make it a musical, because why not?
Why not? I could sing. I know that's not a very interesting answer, but and of course, like, I'm a writer too, so I'd love to develop something for myself. But that's mainly because
tell me that. I want to know what you want to develop for yourself. This is a bit inside baseball, but I'm very curious.
Well, I would love to develop a TV show for myself. I have like an idea that I'm working on to take out to pitch. But I would like to play a lead role in a TV show, and I'd like it to be kind of hard comedy, and but also be about, because I've just been talking about for the last 10 years aging. I think I'd like to maybe discuss what it's like to age.
Okay.
And so I'm doing a sort of hard comedy about, I'll just tell you the name of the show, which is called Old Twink.
No, it's not. I can't say the T word. My friend told me it's like, straight people can't say the T word, so I won't say it.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Yeah. It's, it's frowned upon.
Let's hope if somebody has a problem with it, I'll gladly change it.
No, don't. That means it's controversial. Like, you want to. I think the key in life is to always almost be getting cancelled. That's where you want to be, almost, but not quite. That's how.
I don't think that's my safe space. I think that's where we're different.
Well, we're trying to push you there. I mean, the title of the show is like, I can't say it. You know,
right.
My friend was like, I don't say it anyway. I didn't used to say it, but we were texting about it. And someone was asking, what does this mean? Because somebody was called that. Someone famous recently used that word. So my friend was like, oh, what does it mean? And he was like to us, well, I just want to let you know he's gay. You two can't say it, but this is what it means. And it's a trope that relates to a very skinny young white man, and it's baked in misogyny also. And I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Right, and it's also baked in like ageism, because it's really about like the beauty and the desirability is so much about youth
and the thinness as well.
And thinness, yes, it's about body, and it's about and these are all qualities that you just naturally get. They're not things you work towards.
Yeah.
You know, you don't work towards youth.
Yeah.
You don't work towards thinness.
I mean,
well,
a lot of people do. People put a lot of
Yeah.
work into thinness. Come on, guys. This is LA.
But
This is LA. They work for it here.
After I wrote a whole book about my food issues. Yes, I agree with your friend that it is this trope, and it is also about like when you're told that that's all that matters for you.
Yeah.
And you know that those things are ephemeral. What does it mean for you when you no longer have those things that you believe are the only things that make you viable or make you interesting? And I find that fascinating. By the way, I've soft pitched it to so many people, and I'm like, what else?
I actually love the idea, because I think there is something that is traumatizing about losing the thing that made you desirable. Like, I say to my husband a lot, sometimes we come across, especially in LA, these women, and I'm like, oh, being beautiful was her thing. Like, they're older women now, they're like in their 50s or 60s. And I was like, I know that between the ages of from 7 to about 37, your face was a thing that helped you negotiate life in a very important way. There was so much more to
Right.
you because there's so much more to everyone than how they look.
There's always so much
But
more
I
to you.
I can typically tell the woman that was like, oh, being beautiful was your thing. And you are struggling with the fact that even though you're still beautiful, you're not youthful. So your currency is diminished. And there's a way that those women move through the world. The same way, like, I can meet a man and be like, oh, you were the jock in high school.
Right.
You were the
Right.
athlete. And now you're like a 60-something-year-old man and your body is failing you because bodies fail you. But still, you
Right.
see yourself as a certain way. So, like, there must be something traumatizing about being like, yeah, I was the T word that that
Right.
everybody liked. And that's why men had me around. And that's why I got great
Right.
trips and why I got like these vacations. And my life was very charmed. And I've aged out of the community that I thought loved me.
Right. And you lose this currency of making things go, you know? I was just recently in LA. Oh, for the Emmys. Emmys right there. And I kept seeing all of these women wearing like fingerless gloves. And I was like, God, why are so many women wearing fingerless gloves? And another friend of mine was like, because your hands age and there's no facelift for a hand. And so your hands look old. And so a lot of women like to cover their hands. And I thought, oh, yeah. And, you know, we're guilty of it too. You
Yeah,
know, like
yeah, no
we're
judgment.
like, I don't want you to talk about I'm 50.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'm scared to say it.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, it's pressure from our society that tells us that's
Yeah.
what our value is.
I mean, I think because our society does despise, well, I have a whole thesis on this, but
I love it.
we despise children and we despise old people because there are two populations that need us the most, like in terms, like a basic level of like vulnerability, right? And we don't like to be around people that we feel we have to give more to them than we can get, you know? So like that's why children and often the elderly are kind of relegated to different parts of life, right? So old people say, you go live in that retirement community, and children, you are not, we don't want you in mainstream society. Like listen, as somebody that takes children on the plane, the moment they see you sit next to them with a baby, people's faces drop. They're like, oh my God, send me some wine. Like, but it's just like, well, kids exist. They'd be happy if I came on with a dog. They'd be like, oh, tell me more about your dog. What's his name, right?
Until the dog starts barking.
Yeah, and then they're like, oh,
give me some wine.
this dog, exactly. They're like, I wish I could afford my own plane. Why am I flying commercial? We just don't like aging. And then I think there's some part of it is just like on a very primal level when we see people aging, it reminds us of our mortality, and we don't like to think about death. You know, and so I think there's how do we push that away? And I'm guilty of that myself. Like some of our icons, I see them now and I'm like, oh my God, I remember you when I was a kid and you were so young. Now you're getting older. And then, because also I'm seeing my parents age, right? So I think this is something, aging is something we just don't like to look at, whether it's ourselves or other people.
There's a sadness there because that's what you do right before you die, right?
If you're lucky, because a lot of people die and didn't get to age.
And so then we think of them as attention sucks, but that's because we're
Yeah, we're just like, oh, so-and-so, oh, my granddad's calling me. Decline. I keep coming back to your book. You say, while logic says I couldn't let go of this dream, my heart just couldn't. And you also say, it sucks to be someone with a dream who isn't living that dream, which is really real and true. And I'm wondering what you'd kind of say to people that have this grief about the fact that the dream that they had may never happen, right? Because you have had I know your complaint was like, God, if I died today, my obituary would just be around the last 2-3 years. But you've had an incredible last 2-3 years. And there's some people who will never get that. There's a real grief about the fact that like, I'm never going to find love. I have to make peace with the fact I might not find love. I have friends, older women who are like, oh, biologically, I will never be able to have my own children. I have to accept that right now. There's a grief that comes with it, even though a child was something they always wanted, but it never happened. Sometimes it's like buying a home. It's just like, it's not in my economic future. So it's like, there are people who don't get that happy ending, quote unquote, or a biggish break. I'm curious what you would say to the late bloomers who feel like they haven't even bloomed at all.
I mean, first of all, like I felt that way. I mean, it might have been naive and wrong, but I did feel that way when I turned 40. And I think I didn't get health insurance that year, or maybe it was the year before. But and I was stressed about money, and I I hadn't worked for a long time when I was in LA. And so I really thought like that's what had happened. And I didn't handle it well. I would give anybody the advice to do what I did.
What did you do?
I just kind of like freaked out about it and I had a meltdown and I kind of thought like I write about in the book where I say like, well, first of all, I ate my feelings so much. And then I like went into this weird thing where I was like, if I get thin, if I lose a lot of weight, then that'll make me happy. I mean, it's like a bad episode of a daytime talk show. But what I did was I started tackling mental health. And so I got into therapy and I read self-help books and and it was less to manifest a career than it was to manifest being happy. I know that sounds like so generic, but it's true. It's like to be content. And I think the thing that has worked the best for me is kind of what I've already talked about, which I know get a new topic, Jeff, but which is that like feeling grateful for what I already have. And so for a lot of that, it was just like, I love my cat so much. I'm married. Okay, I don't own an apartment, but my husband owns one and I get to live here.
I mean, if he owns it, you own it. What's his
Only if
is
he dies.
what's his is
Not if we
yours.
divorce.
No, what's his is yours. What's yours is not his. Those are the rules. Okay.
Oh my God, I was not familiar with that rule, but I'm going to use it.
Welcome to my world.
But I really do feel like that's what it is. Because also I was doing stuff that a lot of people would be like, you're performing improv. And you're performing improv at the Upright Citizens Brigade. But in my mind, I was like, I was doing improv in the basement of a grocery store. Whereas a lot of people would be like, I would love to be on that stage.
For sure.
But I wasn't looking at it that way. Because I had it, it wasn't of value. And also, it gave me a lot of joy, and I only focused on the joy for the 25 minutes of the show. I didn't focus on the joy after I was done with it, and I should have done that too. So that's my thing is to really just like look at what you have instead of just constantly what you don't have.
Yeah, and this is not me pushing back, but what if it's because this is how I actually felt a decade ago, and I was looking at what I had, and I didn't feel happy with what I had. What do you say to those people that are just like, well, I am, but it doesn't feel like enough. Like, what's the reframing? Do you know, what's the mental reframing to be like, how do you learn to be happy with, because it's like what you have to come to peace with it. So how do you do that, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, even now I write down my goals for the year and my I have a vision board.
Oh, I love it. Love it.
My manifestations, because I'm all woo-woo and lay out the crystals or whatever. Love it. But if I'm only focused on that, and I'm only focused on like I think it's important to have goals. Yeah. But I also think it's important because like you can say it's not enough, and if that drives you to do more, that's great. But if it just drives you to, and everything's awful and it's all sucks, that just really needs to be a reframe.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
And it's like and I'm not talking about people who have like depression. I'm talking about people who are feeling complacent. And it's either okay, then do something about it, or it's feel good about it. Because so much of it would be like, okay, yeah, I got 2 days on Kimmy Schmidt, but I had 354 days where I didn't do anything. You know what I'm saying? Instead of being like, I had 2 days on Kimmy Schmidt. Yeah. Do you know how many people would kill to be on Kimmy Schmidt? Yeah. Like there are people who would kill. Yeah. I'm not condoning it, but they would. And I wasn't paying attention to that. Yeah. Instead, I was focused on, but will it become a recur? Will I get a series regular? Yeah. Will I get a,
I feel that.
And I don't think that's helpful.
No, it's not.
I think it's totally helpful to get back into acting class and or take a class from a casting director who casts series regulars and figure out ways to make these dreams come true. But it's not helpful to be like, you didn't do it. You didn't do it. I don't know.
Okay, I like that. No, it's because I'm a very much like the glass is half empty person, and that's just like being British and just like a baked in cultural cynicism, pessimism. So like there's like kind of like a cultural inclination towards being like complaining and grumpy and pessimistic.
And you're sort of valued for sort of self-deprecation.
Yeah, of course, like self-loathing, more. And I'm like, when I talk about people like pursuing dreams and not happy where they are, it's not just about creative fields. There's just like some people, it's just like, I wanted to be a nurse and I can't see the path there and I'm not a nurse yet. And I think it's very easy to get into these cycles of like negativity rather than being like, hey, do what you can and relinquish the rest and try and find some joy of where you're at.
And it's like what you said with kids. It's like, okay, I'm almost 50. I really want to be a doctor. I'm going to be almost 60. And I could either be not a doctor or a doctor.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I mean, with the kids, it's a little bit different because you don't want to have them at 70 and then they're an orphan at 6.
Al Pacino's like 84 and he's got like a 6-month-old or something like that. So I don't know. Jeff, oh my God, this has been so great. Thank you so much. I appreciate you making the time.
You're so good at this.
I'm trying. I try.
See, the world did need another podcast host because you're good.
Thank you so much, Jeff. This has been great.
Thank you for having me.